Hello, today, and thank you for joining me. Today, we're going to do part two. This is part two of the story of Naaman, uh, Elijah, the little maid. If you ask me, the star of the show is the little maid. But of course, when you hear it across the pulpit, it's always about Naaman. But in my perspective, it's about the little maid. Because if there had been no little maid who opened up her mouth to witness to Naaman, there would not have been no healing of Naaman. You would never know anything about Naaman. He probably would not have even been mentioned. So this little girl is really the focus, and I am fascinated about this story. So when we ended, in the last session, we ended where Naaman's wife, the little maid, told Naaman's wife about the healing that Naaman could get for his leprosy, and that there was a prophet named Elisha, the SHA Elisha, that was in Samaria that could heal him of his leprosy. So let's see what happened after Naaman got the news. So Naaman's wife went to Naaman and told him, "Look, this little maid girl of mine, she says that there is a prophet in Samaria that could heal you of your leprosy." Okay. So Naaman took it. Naaman evidently he wanted help because this is a little girl giving some powerful information about his life. This was a matter of life and death. If you didn't get healed of leprosy, you would die. And so he took this little maid's word. When you are desperate, it doesn't matter if a dog is barking and you really need help, you'll get help from that dog that's barking. So this little girl impacted him enough. And like I said in the prior video, it was the power of God in her words that caused Naaman to make a move. So Naaman made a move according to what this little slave girl said to him. Very, very powerful. Okay, so what Naaman did, he went to the king and he told the king, he said, "Look, there is my wife's handmaid told her that there is a healer in Samaria that could heal me of my leprosy. Give me permission to go." So the king gave him permission to go. But this is what the king did. And evidently the king thought, see, the words that she told this her mistress, they had power in them. Because even the king himself, he felt, well, this is Naaman. I know he's a leper and he's this and he's that, and I want him to be healed. And evidently, the king had to have had some kind of belief in what was said because he gave Naaman permission to go. Not only did he give him permission to go, but this is what he did. He sent a letter along with Naaman to the king of Samaria. Not only did he send him an introduction letter, but he also sent gifts along with him, which was gold, silver, and some clothes, changes of clothes. So in our money, this is what scholars are saying about what the king sent along with Naaman, along with the introduction letter. $19,200 in gold, $58,170 in silver. This is not even counting the clothes. It doesn't even give a number or a value on the clothes, but there were 10 changes of clothes. And if a king is sending raiment, sending clothes, they are good. It's good material. It's good stuff. Kings don't send out junk. So a total of $77,370, excluding the cost of the clothes, was sent with Naaman to the king of Samaria. This was a very powerful thing. Okay, so Naaman went on his way, and this is what the letter said, and it really angered the king of Samaria. He said, uh, "Now This is what the letter said to the king of Samaria from the king of Syria. Now, when this letter is coming to thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman, my servant, to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. Now, the king of Samaria was a wicked king. He wasn't a good king, he was a wicked king. He assumed that this king was trying to make trouble because what he said was this: Am I God to kill and to make alive, that this man doth send unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel against me. In other words, the king of Syria is trying to start a war. He's trying to start problems because he knows that I'm not God, that I can't heal anybody. Okay. And I'm not responsible if this prophet doesn't come through with this. So that's what happened on that note. The king got mad. He rent his clothes, but Naaman said to him, "Look, uh, I don't know what's going on, but what did happen was Elijah heard about what had happened with this king and Naaman. Okay, so he asked the king, okay, will you let Naaman come to me and he can get healed, so that they will know that there is a God in Israel. There is a prophet in Israel. If there's a prophet in Israel, there's a God in Israel." So all of that stuff was going on because this little girl opened up her mouth and witnessed to her enemy that you can be healed by my God, the God that you don't know anything about. Okay, let's move on. So Naaman goes up to the prophet's door. Now, by him being such a man of status, he thought that Elijah should come out the door, lay his hands on him, wave some kind of magic wand, and ta-da, you're healed. Didn't work that way. Got to humble yourself, young man. Got to humble yourself, Captain. So Elijah didn't even come to the door, as a matter of fact. He sent a servant out to the door to tell Naaman, look, go to the river Jordan and dip 7 times. And when you do that, your skin, you're going to be healed. Yeah. So look, it happened. And so, but listen, before it happened, Naaman got upset. He got upset. I deserve better than this. Not only that, he talked about the Jordan River real bad. He said, we have a river in Pharpar that's far better than the Jordan. The Jordan is a dirty river. Our river is clean. So he didn't want to go, and he wasn't going to go. But his men convinced him. He said, his men told him, listen, Naaman, if this king had told you something real big and great and hard to do, you wouldn't have a problem doing it. But it's a very simple thing to go to the River Jordan and just dip yourself 7 times. That's a very easy task. If it was a hard task, you would jump for it. And that's how we are. We want to hear a big boom, a great big boom from God. Boom. That's God. But remember with Elijah in that situation where there was this small, still voice. The word of God was not in the thunder. It was not in the big roars. It wasn't in any of that. But it was a small, still voice. And that's how God speaks to us. And sometimes we miss it because we're expecting something hard. God is not a hard God. He doesn't always operate the way we think he should operate. So for this cause, Naaman was getting ready to miss his healing because he was expecting something like what we expect: thunder and lightning. But thank God for men of wisdom who ride along beside you that will give you good words of counseling and let you know, and they're not afraid. They don't have jelly in their backs. They're strong enough men that they will say to you because they love you and they care about you. And they don't just go along with everything that you want to do. Because if they were men that go along with everything the king or the preacher or the pastor say, they would also have caused him to lose out on his healing. We've got to be strong enough to stand and tell the truth to people that we love. Doesn't matter what their position is, doesn't matter what their status is, doesn't matter their place in society. We've got to stand and tell the truth because it helps. The Bible said the truth will set you free. The truth of the matter was this: if you do as the prophet has said, you will be healed of your leprosy. And so they did. Now, it says that then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God. And his flesh became again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. See there? Big head. Big head gets you little results or no results at all. His head was too big, and he wasn't going to go. But like I said prior, thank God for men who will stand up when they love and they care about the people that they serve. And they give you words of wisdom to help you because they care about you. Okay, so Naaman was excited. He got his healing, right? uh, so listen, Naaman went back. He went back to Elijah. Uh, but he had a testimony. This is what Naaman said out of his mouth. And he returned to the man of God, he and all his company, and came and stood before him. And he said, behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. Mm-mm. The man of God said, not by the hairs of my chin. I'm not taking no money from you, because this miracle is not a miracle for money. I think some prophets can learn a lesson from that. Y'all want a whole lot of money. You want money and you want things from people uh, that are healed, not even by your own power. If it was your own power, I could understand you wanting some money. I'd want some too and would get it, or I wouldn't work any miracles. But the miracles don't belong to us. The miracles belong to God. He's the one that gets the glory out of it. So Elijah refused. Elijah refused. Um, he didn't take it, which was really the end of what I want to talk about right now. But what Naaman did want the prophet to do, he said this. This is what the prophet said to Naaman. But he said, let me read you this verse first. And he returned to the man of God, he and his company, uh, and asked him if he would take a blessing from him. But Elijah, verse 9, 16, 5 and 16, 2 Kings says, but he said, as the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. In other words, Naaman kept at, look, prophet, look, please take this. I've been blessed. I've been healed. I was going to die if this miracle had not happened. Please take these things. Take all of this gold, $77,370 worth of gold and silver. And please take these 10 uh, uh, pieces of raiment. Please take it. Elijah said, not by the hairs of my chin. No, it's not going to happen. Okay, so Naaman said, look, well, at least let this happen. Verse 17. And Naaman said, shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servant 2 mules, burden of earth? For thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto the capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, unto the Lord, which was God. In this thing the Lord pardoned thy servant, that when my master goeth into the house of Ramon to worship there, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Ramon, when I bow down myself in the house of Ramon, the Lord pardoned thy servant in this thing. Elijah blessed him. Elisha, he blessed him. He said, and he said unto him, go in peace. So Naaman departed from him a little way. In other words, I'm not taking them, but please pardon me when I go into this house, because really, this is what this is my summation of what Naaman was saying to Elijah, because I really know who the real God is. I know who the real God is, but please pardon me, because this is my duty. This is my job. I have to do this. But up here and here, I know who the real God is. There is no God except the God of Israel. That's what he said. Got a revelation, didn't he? And it all happened because a young girl refused to have hatred in her heart and anything evil in her heart against her master. But you know what? I have another thought about that. Now, I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just assuming. I don't know. If a master had any sense at all, and you have a slave in your house, you don't know what that person has. You don't know what they have to offer. If you treat them like an animal and you beat them, they have scars on their backs where you have lashed, given them so many lashes. You whip them and you beat them and you treat them like they're dogs and you work them until they just can hardly move. Do you think those servants are going to care a whole lot about you? The average of them, 99.9% of them, probably won't. But if you have a servant in your house, treat them like they're human beings. It's a shame what African Americans went through as slaves. It's a shame. Some of them are still bearing the scars. If they're not physical, they're mental. The emotional, the mental stress that was put upon those slaves, those African slaves, it trickled down to their children and their children's children. Same in Egypt. Pharaoh was dirty, low down, and evil. He beat those people, worked them like they were animals. And when they got a chance, they were out of Dodge. They took that midnight train to Georgia. That Red Sea was their way out. This little maid, I really don't believe they treated her like this. But of course, I'm sure she wasn't elated that she was away from her family. She wasn't absolutely happy and just gleeful and joyful that she was a slave. But she humbled herself. I believe it was the love of God. Had to have been the love of God in her heart to want to see her master healed of leprosy. She knew he was going to die if he didn't get it, because leprosy also came about in the camp of Israel from time to time. Yeah, there were leopards in Israel, and she knew the devastation. She knew that the end result would be death, and she opened her mouth and she witnessed. I am happy about this story. I'm happy to have come across it. I came across it years and years ago. Years ago. So that this is just part 2. I'm going to do part 3 and part 4. And in part 4, I'm going to wrap this thing up and we're going to get some real, well, revelation is real, but we're going to get some more great revelations, thoughts, ideas, comments and all of that from this story about this little maid, her humility, and actually, Naaman humbled himself. Oh, he humbled himself and went to that river that he called dirty and dipped himself 7 times and became a new man, happy as a lark. But we're going to see what happened to Naaman on his way home. That's a whole new, I told you, this narrative has layers. So we're going to hear about what happened to him on his way home, what happened to the servant, Gehazi, Elijah's servant. So until then, thanks for listening and be blessed until the next video.